Human Needs by John Barton, whereby we said that there are four aspects of human needs, that is security, identity, recognition, and personal development, whereby we saw that if the state failed to give these four needs to its citizen, then there was a risk of violence emerging.
Thank you very much, Roslyn. Let me hear from Samuel.
Thank you, Daktari. I can remember emphasizing on the peace environmental is we talked about John Paul Rentalak, John Barton.
Yes.
Also Abraham Masros, where we talk of physiological needs as the key factors for conflicts and violence, whereby we talked of good relationship, fair distribution of resources and positions in the government or in the leadership, considering the minority and putting everybody on board. Trust can be built by ensuring accountability and transparency. These and others that cause violence can be minimized, and they can also managed at the lowest level possible, considering that some of these conflicts are caused by the obvious reasons. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. You have mentioned about Maslow. I remember I said you are tough on your own time to read about the works of Maslow. I don't know, do you read the work of Maslow? Rosalind, did you manage to read about hierarchy of needs of Maslow?
No, I didn't.
Welcome, Ogutu.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we are doing the review of previous class.
Yes.
So, Koske, when you have time, make sure you also try to study the hierarchy of needs of Maslow. I forgot letting you know that. Yeah.
Noted
so,
that.
Ogutu, what we are exactly trying to do, we are trying to have a brief overview of our previous class. Can I get to hear you about the overview of previous class?
I'm just joining, so I'm going.
Samuel, I remember you had to do your presentation already. Is it ready?
The one that Rosalind gave us yesterday?
Okay, which is that, Rosalind?
The one we presented.
Evaluation of to evaluate sports and arts has been an effective tool for peace building.
No.
Okay. So I think, can we start from there today? We can start from there today. Rosalind, your presentation, is it ready?
Yes, Dr. The one on the role of sports and arts. Yeah, it is.
Okay, let us start with that today.
If that is the one, Daktari, mine is ready.
Okay, okay.
Someone you can put yours and then I put mine.
And Martin, did you get to do that, Martin? Koski?
The one that I did is on the theory of protracted social conflict. But this other one I haven't completed, Daktari.
Okay, the one for it by Edward Asal.
Yes, Daktari.
That one you said is right to all of us.
I'm using my phone, Daktari.
Mm-hmm.
I'll not be in a position, but I can just explain. But later, maybe I'd gone somewhere whereby I
Uh-huh.
don't have my laptop,
Okay.
but I can share what I have. Then maybe later I'll share the slides, Daktari.
Roslyn,
Yes, sir.
let Martin say briefly about the work of Edward Asal, what he did. Then Martin, what to do? We are giving you around 3 minutes. You provide a brief summary about your work.
Yes, Daktari.
Yeah, 3 minutes. You observe time now.
Okay, copy, Daktari.
Hmm.
The theory of protracted social conflict by Edward Azar, which shows that violent events in the world as protracted conflicts. But he defined protracted social conflict as follows. It occurs when communities are deprived of satisfaction of their basic needs only on the basis of communal identity. But deprivation was as a result of state or international linkages, whereby now the initial conditions were colonial legacy, domestic historical settings, and multi-communal nature of society, which all played a role in shaping the genesis of protracted social conflict. The protracted theory had three characteristics that are incorporated into three phases, which were the genesis, process dynamics, and outcomes analysis. On the genesis, it referred to a set of conditions that are responsible for the transformation of non-conflict situations into conflict ones, which were further subdivided into the communal content. According to Azar, the factor that leads to formation of protracted social conflicts can be characterized as having a multi-communal composition, whereby multi-communal societies are formed as a result of divide and rule policies of former colonial powers, either through historical rivalries or the dominance of one group over another, whereby mostly the state is dominated by a single communal group or a coalition of a few communal groups that are unresponsive to the needs of other groups in the society. Therefore, if these groups are not reconciled according to Azar, it leads to strains in the social fabric and eventually breeds fragmentation and protracted social conflict. Another one is also the human needs, whereby you find that individual and communal survival is contingent upon the satisfaction of basic needs. In the current world situation, there is scarcity and the basic needs are rarely met. But one group of individuals may enjoy satisfaction of those needs in abundance, and others may not even have any. Thus, grievances resulting from need deprivation are usually expressed collectively, and the failure by authorities to address these grievances leads to the protracted social conflict. And the government and state role also refers to the role of the state in ensuring that all communal groups under its jurisdiction are able to meet their basic needs. And Azar points out that communities experiencing protracted social conflict, political power tends to be dominated by one identity group that uses its resources to maintain power over the other. Thus, protracted social conflict affects third countries. We'll often see attempts by the dominant group to resist participation of minority groups. Thus, such crises exacerbate already existing competitive or inflictive situations, thus diminishing the state's ability to meet the basic needs. Daktari, that's the far I did on the protracted social conflict theory.
Thank you very much, Koski. from your pre-presentation, I can see you have talked about the tenets of the protracted social contributed by Edward Hazard. The group, they are going also to share to all of us their slides and presentation, so you will also get to know the presentation of your colleagues.
Copied Daktari, and I'll share mine when I finish completing.
Sure. Now let us hear from Samuel. Is research, his presentation on sports as a tool for peace building. Sports and art as the tool for peace building. We start with Samuel.
Thank you very much, Daktari.
Sure.
I did mine in writing. I was to typewrite it today and have them in slides. I'm yet to do it, but I have it ready, written. I wish I continue.
You can share then. Sure.
Thank you. Evaluate how sports and art has been an effective tool for peace building. The activities involved. At this Daktari, I combined the need for peace building, whereby we consider the friendship, we consider the good public relation, we also consider this energizing, so that at the time of violence, it will be easier to sort it out. Otherwise, it's sort of a summary. I start. The activities involved are mental creativity and innovations about intellectual property. The energy used and focus engaged is geared towards a positive and worthwhile job, which means the youth will not have idle time for deviance or for truancy. Economical and social activities to bring the people of all type and age together, like music, dancing, passing of various messages through music. The dancing activities bring people together to become friends, partners, know one another.
Oh, okay, I'm waiting. Thank you very much.
I'm on mute.
Continue, Samuel, sorry.
Thank you, Daktari. I continue. The dancing activities bring people together to become friends, partners, know one another. In the course of either practicing singing, concerts, or rehearsing for real activities, the time and the energy utilized is in the better use, as opposed with the negative attitude of committing crime, engaging in radicalization or terror activities where life would be lost or property destroyed. This can further cause the displacement of population, culminating into other untold suffering like violence of crime, molestation, atrocities, sexual violence, robberies, arson, assaults, breaking, burglaries. I also consider that the sports is a world-renowned activities like soccer, athletics, field events, racing, netball, basketball, running of motor vehicles events, Olympic events like it is currently in Japan. All these activities have done more good than bad for the following reasons. Peace can be built by creating the environment to cultivate partnership in a conducive mood. The friendship can be created or built earlier or during peace season that at war, which can be very costly to understand one another. So it is easier now to make friendship at peace, so that during war, it can be manageable because the people already know one another. And also it may not get to that extent because of that friendly atmosphere and the rapport. The war can be curtailed or not have ground for violence due to the bonding of the members in the course of peaceful time or season. War can be won due to mediation, negotiation, arbitration, court, or real war for winner to give Rusa the balance of peace. With friendship, partnership, with friendship or partnership, the war of violence will not have a chance. Sharing of resources or fairness in treatment can win trust to the dealers or partners involved. Further, the more the friends, the stronger the team. Example, the United Nations, the NATO, the East Africa Community, the African Union, the ECOWAS, the HIGANT, the East Africa, the European Community. We have better power states. We have the G7, the Arab League of Nations. We also have OPEC, that is overseas petroleum exporting countries. The synergy can be such strong that the enemy get to fear into attacking any member or member state due to enticing creativity of more enemies and worse reprisals or chastising reprimand from member states. By creating friends, the negative issues arising can be easily discussed among the members and the solutions reached at harmoniously. Sports, music, arts of whatever style that consumes time, possibly is well spent. End of Mind is Endeavor's workshop. Money generating activities which reduce the mind of crime actors can be curtailed. Thank you, Daktari.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for this insightful presentation that is showing us how sports can be a powerful tool for peace building. What I'm getting from you, sports help in building relationships that were broken during the time of conflicts. Um, Let me get to hear from Rosalind.
Okay. I first started by defining what is peace building. And peace building is the development of constructive personal, group, and political relationships across ethnic, religious, class, national, and racial boundaries. It aims to resolve injustice in nonviolent ways and to transform the structural conditions that generate deadly conflict. Peace building can include conflict prevention, conflict management, resolution and transformation, and post conflict reconciliation. Then I checked on the relationship of arts and conflict resolution. Throughout history, the arts have often helped societies in conflict by providing comfort to people, serving as a means to question and challenge unjust social structures, and communicating new visions for the future. In conflicts, in conflicts on the verge of violence, the arts can also help raise awareness of the dangers of impending conflict and speak out in favor of peace. In many conflicts throughout the globe, art based processes ranging from theater to music have been an essential component of anti war demonstration and protests for social justice and equality. The arts can also be a powerful process for conflict resolution work. Artists, by nature of their work, can challenge existing prejudices, build bridges between diverse communities, and serve as a guide to higher aspiration. Moreover, conflict resolution professionals can use art-based processes with groups in conflict as creative method to work through and resolve emotions, explore conflicts, and build relationship. Then I also checked on relationship of sports and peace building. Sport for development and peace has become a recognized method of intervention in disadvantaged communities, particularly in the developing world. That sport, and most notably football, has been used as a catalyst for social inclusion, conflict resolution, and peace in different regions affected by poverty and conflict. Sports as a means of contributing to community development and peace building could be achieved by reinforcing the belief in a positive potential of sport by organizing sport teams at all levels that comprise players across the racial and cultural divide. Then I checked the role of arts in peace building in Bosnia during the 1990s throughout southeastern Europe, first beginning with Slovenia, then in Croatia, and then in Bosnia Herzegovina, Kosovo, and Macedonia, violent conflicts have erupted, resulting in significant destruction in both social and economic terms. The causes of each conflict involved a complex series of interconnected historical, economic, social, political, and psychological factors, including the severe economic crisis affecting the entire region, lack of moderate political leadership, and the increasing emphasis on ethnicity as a central component of identity and its role in escalating such conflict. Before the outbreak of the conflict in each location, and increasing nationalist discourse developed which defined other ethnic groups as enemy who threatened the existence of one's own group. The discourse expressed through the media, in the education system, and on the streets helped mobilize popular support for the conflict, which largely benefited ruling elites. A theater for peace building project operating throughout the country, countless creative therapy programs during drumming for peace circles and concerts, and exhibitions in cooperation with artists from throughout former Yugoslavia. Then art-based processes and their relationships to conflicts. I checked it into category and then the example and the relationship it has to conflict resolution. Intervention based, example, you use theater to explore some specific conflicts. Then it addresses substance or relationship components of a conflict. Then there's relationship based. They used artistic processes to facilitate joint community projects in conflicted regions, addresses a relational component of peace building. Then there's social protest, musical protest or concerts for peace. They help to mobilize community to take action, more activists in nature. Then there's creative therapies, arts or music therapy with people who have suffered trauma. Individual level healing to help reintegrate people in community. On sports and peace building, in the field of peace building, sports can be defined broadly as activities that foster physical fitness, inclusion, and mental health, including free play, recreation, organized sports, casual sports, competitive sports, and indigenous sports or games. That is according to the UN report 2003. Play refers to physical activity that is fun and participatory and becomes more organized and structured as we move towards recreation and sports. Then I checked on the advantages of sports for peace building. Participation in sports is a fundamental human right and it's essential to the healthy development of children. Sports have the ability to reach a massive audience because of the large audience capacity of sporting events and the broad range of sports to accommodate many different nationalities and cultures. Sports are about participation, inclusion, and bringing people together by highlighting commonalities between people. Then also sports offer an avenue to learn skills such as discipline, confidence, and leadership. Tolerance, cooperation, and respect for others are also fostered through the positive interaction with others. Sports can empower individuals and help foster self-esteem. Then I also checked on the disadvantages of sports. There are critics who critique use of sports for peace building, and they claim that sports are natural promotion of competition and aggression. As sports become more structured and elite, participants begin to cut off from the team as the goal becomes the need to win. Tournaments are organized most often by single elimination, which promotes exclusion rather than inclusion. And then sports can involve negative aspects such as violence, corruption, discrimination, hooliganism, excessive nationalism, cheating, and drug abuse. Then I tried to check on examples where sports has been used in public building. And in El Sadava, for example, where communities were struggling with legacy of gang violence in the aftermath of prolonged civil war, the Scotiabank of Salud Escola led an integral program that used sports, play, and physical activity to teach life skills, especially conflict prevention and nonviolent conflict resolution to primary and secondary school children, equipping them to make healthy choices later in their life. Then the most famous one is the use of football, the US soccer, to integrate former child soldiers back into the community following war. And in Liberia and in Nigeria, there is use of football to bring warring tribes together through different NGOs working to foster peace by engaging the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roslyn, for this very insightful, educative kind of presentation. I did appreciate very much that you are able to give examples where peace building has been used as a tool for peace building. Appreciate it very much for this kind of presentation. We are going to have a discussion session, but after everyone has done the presentation, now let's, Ogutu, can we hear from you? Sure.
You see? I'm trying to. It's bringing problems here. Let- It's really bringing problems here with me. Let me repeat, eh? Yes. Are we together?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how many windows here.
Or go to
Yeah.
from wherever we are, we are just seeing one window.
But I've closed all of them. Can you see? Are you seeing?
Yes, yes, we are.
Okay. Let me not speak to myself. Okay, I looked at how sports and art has been effective tool for peace building. Then I started by maybe defining these terms. Sport. Sport pertains to any form of competitive physical activity or game that aims to use, maintain, or improve physical ability and skills while providing enjoyment to participants, and in some cases, entertainment to spectators. Sports can, through casual or organized participation, improve one's physical health. Hundreds of sports exist, from those between single contestants through to those with hundreds of simultaneous participants, either in teams or competitives as individuals. Sport is generally recognized as a system of activities based in physical athleticism or physical dexterity, with major competitions such as Olympic Games admitting only sports meeting in this definition. Sport is usually governed by a set of rules or customs which serve to ensure fair competition and allow consistent adjudication of the winner. Then art. This expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Art, in its broadest sense, is a form of communication. It means whatever the artist intends to mean, and this meaning is shaped by the materials, techniques, and forms it makes use of, as well as the ideas and feelings it creates in its viewers. Art is an act of expressing feelings, thoughts, and observations. Art is also something that is created with imagination and skill, and that is beautiful or that expresses important ideas or feelings. Uh, Works created by artists, paintings, sculptures, etc., that are created to be beautiful or to express important ideas or feelings. What's the importance of art? Art makes people optimistic about their future. Art can be used to help spread a message of inspiration, making people achieve great things in life. Art can be a form of communication between people to focus on common issues for the betterment of humankind. Inspirational music is the best form of creative art. Peace building. This is an activity that aims to resolve injustice in nonviolent ways and to transform the cultural and structural conditions that generate deadly or destructive conflict. The method included in the peace being vary depending on the situation and the agent of peace building. It revolves around developing constructive, personal, group, and political relationships across ethnic, religious, class, national, and racial boundaries. The process includes violence prevention, conflict management, resolution or transformation, and post-conflict reconciliation or trauma healing before, during, and after any given case of violence. Peace building can take many forms. At the grassroots or community level, sports are increasingly becoming a part of the peace builders toolkit worldwide. Sports can bring people together towards a common goal while promoting respect and community with respect. There's something missing there with others. By building relationships between different groups, conflict can be transformed. In addition, sports can be used as a deterrent by teaching the values of good sportsmanship, teamwork, respect, and communication skills needed to reduce tensions and prevent conflicts. According to the UN, participation in sport is a fundamental human right and is essential to the healthy development of children. UN 203. Sports have ability to reach a massive audience because of the large audience capacity of sporting events and the broad range of sports to accommodate many different nationalities and cultures. Sports are about participation, inclusion, and bringing people together by highlighting commonalities between people. UN 203. Sport offers an avenue to learn skills such as discipline, confidence, and leadership. Tolerance, cooperation, and respect for others are also fostered through the positive interaction with others. In addition, sports can empower individuals and help foster self-esteem. UN 203. One of the most common talked about uses for sports peace building is the use of football, US soccer, to reintegrate former child soldiers back into the community following war. There's a bit of a case in Uganda. For example, former child soldiers are taught life skills, health and wellness education, empowerment, and conflict resolution. In order to teach conflict resolution skills, coaches create games that internationally cause frustration and arguments for the players. This allows for a safe place for participants to practice good communication skills and find a solution together as a team without use of violence. There's also a disadvantage of sport in peace building. Critics of sport peace building claim that sports are a natural promotion of competition and aggression. As sports become more structured and elite, participants begin to cut from the team as the global becomes the need to win. Only 2011. Furthermore, tournaments are organized most often by single elimination, which promotes exclusion rather than inclusion. In this way, sports have the potential to break down bonds rather than building them. In addition, sports can involve negative aspects such as violence, corruption, discrimination, hooliganism, excessive nationalism, cheating, and drug abuse, according to UN 203. Because the field of sport peace building is so new, little formal evaluation has been conducted as of yet. However, extensive anecdotal evidence exists, and the UN believes the potential for these negative aspects pales in comparison to the positive benefits that can be channeled by organizations and communities. Careful and strategic design and implementation of sport, peace programs, especially during times of war and violence, is necessary to ensure a positive outcome. The right to play. Thank you up to there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ogutu, for your insightful presentation. For sure, I can assure you I'm learning a lot from your research. Now, let us have an open discussion. We can now, based on the presentation, I want to hear your insights, your comment additions. Let us start with Samuel.
Come again, Marim.
I'm saying, based on now the presentations that have been done, I wish to hear from you. What are your new insights? What are your additions? What are your compliments to your colleagues based on the presentation that have already happened?
Thank you so much, Marim. I've actually been also adding some points from my presenters who have already done after me. I've gotten quite a number of points in addition to what I had written. One being sportsmen and women are actors of high discipline, focused, and well coached against the crime and the drugs. I also got another one that the actors are well developed to create their own source of honest earning as opposed to truancy and deviance. Another one is that the sports are developed to create wealthy and healthy physique for youth. The benefits supersede the negative by any standard. I would say that sports have helped people to develop their own individuality, and also it has become a source of revenue for the country, going by the fact that long time ago, sport wasn't that important. It was just done like an activity in schools where one is given certificate, either a plate or a book. But nowadays, it is a business. People make 1 lakh and they make it 10, 5, or 15 million, which means that the country is earning through that activity, because the person who gets 2, 3 events and he or she has 50 million will come and invest in the country. And once invested in the country, so many other people will get the jobs. For example, if he has an apartment or petrol station, or he has started a certain factory or uniform selling a shop, you will employ people, you will employ watchmen, you will employ workers, you will employ, and also these people will need houses. So it is a kind of development venture, not only for this person, but for the entire country. So in all angles, it is very important, and it is a source of self-employment. Therefore, we should embrace it. And also, going further, reminds me of the Rorupe trophy in Marakwet, where this lady who used to be an athletee, though aged now, but there is a trophy for Rorupe trophy, which is celebrated annually in Marakwet, which is a peace memorial or peace event to remind the people of where they have come from. So we can see we cannot avoid events. Same thing, we cannot avoid the musicians. Look at during in bath, during in bashes, during churches, or during any other festivity. We start by dancers, we start by musicians, we starting by actors, we have acrobatics. Look at even national events, the Mandaraka Day, the Jamhuri Day. We have so many people who are lined up for either choir or activities, drama. Artists are so, and they are so vibrant to entertain people. during a session or even weekends. People cannot gather where the place is so dull. They have to be entertained by some kind of music or events. Therefore, we cannot just ignore them. This is the way to go to bring this youth to do a worthwhile job and to keep them active. Because if you don't engage them in sports, in music, or in any intellectual activity, they will eventually look for a way on how to keep themselves busy, and this could be through radicalization. They could also engage in bad company and go full-time drug traffickers or even addicted. Therefore, youth need to be kept busy, and we need to look for more activities on how we can engage them so that they don't focus on criminality. Thank you, Marim.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for your insights. I like the particular example you have given of Tekla Rupa. She has been doing a lot in the North Rift area on issue sports for peace. And indeed, this has been causing a positive impact to the well-being of people in that region. Let me hear the insights from Koski.
Thank you, Dr. The presentations are good, and I've learned a lot, but also I'll present mine next time, Dr. But they've
Sure.
done so well. Thank you.
Okay. Roslyn.
I think through the presentation and even the input of Samuel, it has given me an insight, and especially right now during devolution, we are seeing that in the MPs kitty, there is the youth fund, and most of these MPs they use this youth fund. In fact, there's a fund for sports and recreation, and they use it to the youths. You see them going rounds giving our youth t-shirts and balls and organizing for the tournaments to foster these youths together, and even giving them a small token for the teams that are winning. It can be also used, if that money is used well, it can be a source of income to this youth. So in actual sense, especially sports in Kenya and even the use of art in Kenya. There's something that I read an article, but I thought it was not very conclusive on the role of art and music in Kenya after the post-election violence. But yes, through music, people were able to heal. There were concerts held in Nakuru. People went to the streets and even made those drawings along the streets on the walls, and they were communicating. So arts and sports, I can say it really has an impact even locally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roslyn, for your insights. Let me hear from Obutu.
Thank you, sir. Sport is key in reducing violence. I saw this evidence somewhere where we had two communities conflicting. That is Pokot in West Pokot and Turkana people from Turkana County. There were a lot of violence. So one day, different agencies, organized for some football between teams from each side. So when these guys came to play, that playing alone brought a lot of togetherness. People got a chance to speak, to talk to each other, exchange views. And after these kind of activities, that football, there was a lot of, though it did not really finish the violence because it's even evident to date, but at least there was some consensus and people were able to unite in a way. But as we have also seen, that sport is not 100% in dealing with violence and conflict. Sometimes they become so competitive until it's more divergent to people. It divides people more. When, for example, a team from the other conflicting party wins and this other one loses, then automatically it does not really reduce the violence. But generally, sports and art, as we've seen, is key. It's a tool that needs to be embraced. More finances needs to be put into place for such. A lot of concentration needs to be put towards that, so that we have a lot of sporting activities, a lot of arts like drawings, paintings, brought in between these conflicting communities and parties, so that there's a lot of violence reduction. In my place where I come from, when we have people who fight or people who are in a disagreement, I always see people brought together and we play some music. There's a lot of, music that plays and people dance together. And at the end of that, you find there's a lot of cohesion, a lot of agreement, a lot of violence reduction. So I think it's something that needs to be embraced. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I personally appreciate you all your insights. Your contributions has been really key. Then in the course of presentation, there's something that caught my eyes. How can we mitigate the issue of competition in sports, especially if that kind of sports aims to bring peace? I wish to hear your insight, your comment. What do you think can happen to mitigate the issue of competition? Because if we have competition, then we are losing the point, because the sports seek to bring the warring communities together. Now, if the issue of competition comes, we are not achieving our goal. What do you think we need to do such that we mitigate the aspect of competition? Samuel.
Thank you, Daktari. This is a very good question. And I will start by saying that competition is important. Competition is healthy, given that we started activities. When I was in school, we would start with the nurseries, then primaries, then we would go to Sono, then we would go to districts, we form another team of the district and go to provinces. We form a team of a province to compete with a province. We go to Nyayo Stadium. We compete again. We get a strong team to represent national in the Olympic and other events. And then, for example, the Africa Cup of Nations would even compete and produce the best team from Africa to represent Africa in wherever in Europe for against other continental best teams. So competition is important. Even in class, we are competing somehow because nobody would want to be the last. Though we want to be the best alongside and all of us, but you can see also competition is healthy because in class I wouldn't wish to be the last one throughout the term. I'll try my best and at least get some positions ahead. Therefore, competition is normal. I see you doing good. I try my best also to do like you. You inspire me. So we cannot avoid the competition. It might be physical or it might be psychological. It is also healthy that if I want to achieve something, I can consult, I can be guided, I can go to somebody whom I think is a good model to me, whom I want I wish to be inspired. Therefore, as long as you are not fighting, you are not being enemy, you are not creating a situation where you want to destroy him or her, competition is healthy and it is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for your observation. Let me get to hear from Rosalind.
Okay, I can say I agree with whatever Samuel is saying, but especially when we look on sports for peace or sporting for peace, it's normally on the lower level or at the grassroots at the community level. So from my perspective, if there are two tribes that they were warring or there was violence between the two tribes, we can try and integrate the teams such that a team does not the team does not purely come from maybe Kamba versus Luo, but we can come together and then agree to mix the groups. Like a half of the players in this team will belong to this, and then a half of players from this team will come to this. And at the end of the day, the whichever team wins as representation from either of the warring tribes. Whatever Samuel gave an example, it also reminded me during our primary schools, whereby schools could compete individually. Like now, maybe township is competing against other schools, but as they were progressing towards the zonal team, you find that they no longer represent the school, but represent the zone. For example, if somebody was good in this is inaitangwa nini relays, they could be able to pick one person from this school, another one person from this school, and then they go represent the zone as they go like that. And that was a criteria that was used even to come now and present the provinces in the national games. That win was a win for the entire population compared to maybe things like, for example, music festivals, or the arts bit of it, it's per school. But the sports bit of it, you could find at that level, they were taking the best at the level where they are, and then it represents that team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roslyn. There's a point I'm getting from you, a very important one, mixing of prayer from the warring parties, such that even any team wins, you get that there's a mix. It's a very important point I'm getting from you. Martin Koski.
Yes, Daktari, thank you. What I would think could mitigate this is whereby there are many rewards for whereby even the number 2 will get a reward, also number 3, but maybe the rewards will vary in value so that everybody feels that at least you have gotten a reward. And also the organizers also should be briefing the participants before and also after the competitions so that at least they console the losing teams and they see that not all is lost. And also you find that competition is important because obviously the winning team normally has some values of discipline and the like. So you find that also the other teams will aspire to imitate the winning team and also practice harder so that they can also next time become winners. And also another way is that we have the games frequently so that not per year, but also maybe quarterly, so that if one loses, he doesn't see that he's a loser for a long time. At least there's a nearer chance so that you may redeem the prize. And also you find that these youths are kept busy. And even if the competitions are there, they don't have time to plan for other bad activities or engage in drinking or other drug taking, which now once they are high on these drugs, they tend to do awkward activities and also which are likely to breach the peace. Thank you, Daktari.
Thank you very much, Koski. I get your point about rewards. It's very important. When you are doing reward, you must make sure that all parties are given a rewarded. That's a very important observation I'm getting from Koski. And that observation is about doing the activities frequently. You know, that's very important. The more you do the activities frequently, the more you are keeping bringing the wiring communities together. That's the way you are keeping building the bonds that were being broken when there was violent conflict. Let me first again hear from Mobutu his observation on this.
Yes, sir. The problem of being the last person is that. But again, I think how we can, address this is by having something we call win-win situation, whereby even the losing team do not go home empty-handed. They need also to be appreciated in a way, even if it's a little bit, at least it will reduce the competition attribute or fact of it. So when we have two parties or two teams competing, then we have a winner, and even the losers get something small to take home. This will soothe their spirit. This will calm their hearts, and at least they will have something to smile about, rather than to think that the others or the winners are still their enemies. So when we form a win-win situation, then we get to address this matter. And this is also evident, as Rosen said, that we mix these parties, we mix these players, so that even if party B or team B wins, then we have members of team A in team B, so they also feel part of the win. I think that will really help to curb the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ogutu. Even though you said you are the last, but also you have brought something which is very important. Win-win situation. A win-win situation in the context of conflict. The win-win situation is very important. Let me hear from Samuel. Samuel want to say something.
Thank you, Daktari. We should not also forget that we talked of relationship, and
Ah,
we said earlier that relationship can also bring people together and have community members across border. And such activities would also bring youth together. A man would get love of his life from the opposite team, or the family, or those that the fans. That is the a fertile ground for making a choice of a life partner. And that as it
exactly.
goes, yes, and that as it goes, you'll find that one tribe is intermarrying with the other. Therefore, the hatred, the much revenge that you would have occurred will be sorted by those other people being in laws, having their daughter, having their son, and this along the way would become friendlier even after the activities. Also, the activities should not be that it is fully competition, but it should be part of entertainment alongside the agenda. For example, they would say we want to discuss agenda one, introduction, agenda two, entertainment, agenda three, speeches, and then these speeches will be tailor-made to suit the main agenda. For example, the peace, or even talking about the COVID-19, or even talking about the HIV and the AIDS, or even talking about the FGM, or even talking about taking children to school, or even talking about not marrying underage children or girls, or even talking about domestic violence and expressing the reason why such area is not progressing. So they shouldn't be taught issues so that they catch up with the rest of the country. Such an event can be to bring people together to storm in so that they want to be entertained, they want to be happy. They can also have some kind of activities if the area MP, the governor is involved, so that he can also bring in bursaries. He can also present the bursaries to children who performed well. It should be tailor-made to involve other activities such that it is music and sports. It's part of the agenda. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much, Samuel. You have brought a very important aspect here. the issue of intermarriage. You know, when you are doing this sports thing, you are building bonds. So women from other community marries men from these other communities, and women from this one marries the other one. That's one way of bringing down the walls of animosity. You have brought somewhere a very important aspect there, and also the sports should also go along with other agenda. Like if you are talking about eradicating illiteracy in the community, you bring area leaders to come and see what's happening. Like if children they don't have desks, if children they don't have classes, that's a fertile ground where leaders will be able to get to know the problem the community is facing and come up with solution. You are reminding me what we were doing in the cross-border project in Karamoja, where we were dealing with building peace among the communities of Karamoja, Sabini, of Uganda, Mateniko, Kalimochong, Chie, Turukana. So when we were doing this program in these communities, we were doing sports, and we do sports, but we bring leaders from this region. We bring the governments of from the part of Kenya. We were bringing the governors of Pokot, Turkana, the senators, MPs, and the leaders, the RDC of Uganda, the ministers of Karamoja. I think by then the Janet Museveni, the wife of the president of Uganda, was the minister of Karamoja. We could invite her and she could come and listen with what are the challenges of peace the Karamoja people were getting. And believe me, we got a lot of solution to many problems. When there were no classes, the government, people gave pledges and the classes were built. When they wanted to have markets to be built, and for sure, we had markets which were acting as bridges for peace for these warring communities. Through the project, we were having now schools were built, churches were built, and these platforms acted, they provided environment for peace. And if you go to those corridors today, there is for sure peaceful coexistence. That's what made me realize sports for sure is a powerful tool for peace building. The aspect of competition, how did we go about this? You know, like what Roslyn said, and what also Samuel has alluded to, when we have the sports for peace, we need to be very careful with the aspect of competition. We are not keen about competition here, but we are keen about bringing people together. So if we are doing rewards, we must make sure that both parties are rewarded. So long as they make themselves available there, so long as they were there in that venue, they should never go home red-handedly. And this is something also Ogutu has said. So you make sure whenever we were buying rewards, we were giving every participant will not go home without going with something. We were making sure that all parties are getting something. When they are going home, they are going happy that we went and we have also gone home with something. In this event, like what Samuel said, the team, children, they can recite poems of encouraging those other children who are not going school to go to school. Because you realize sports is magnetic in a way, it brings people. You don't have to go to the village and bring people. So long as people are dancing, so long as people are playing football, everyone will always come there. So we, in these forums where we have drama, where we have sports, where we have poetry, children passing message, encouraging those not going to school to go, encouraging those engaging late to stop, and this message, it goes to the soul, it goes to the mind, it goes to the heart of people. That's how sports are very, very important too for peace building. In connection with that, I've done a small presentation with regards with sports and arts as a tool for peace building. This will be on addition to what we have already done. So let me share my presentation now. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
We have the arts, culture, and peace building. Let us begin by defining the terms. Here, we are going to look at where the arts, for example, for the university, for the general society, what's peace building. I think this has been done by some of your presentation. I've had that. How are the arts and peace building now joined? I saw that in your presentation of Gutu and even Rosary. The arts relate social violence and change. So we have visual arts, literary arts, performance arts, movement art, spontaneous art and combination. Now, what's peace building? Since the mid 1990s, the dominant concern of practitioners and now a large number of scholars has been about what is this thing called peace building. An ongoing process from the room of war through peace. It's peace building. It's an ongoing process from the room of war through the peace accord to the post-peace accord. The communities that have been going through violent conflicts, peace building starts when they start asking themselves, come on, why are we fighting? What are we benefiting from these wars? And then the communities agree now to come together and sit down under a tree, and then they draft a peace accord. Maybe if the issue, the concern was about resources, then the community say, the problem we have is about resources. How are we going to share these resources? And then they draft accord. In those communities like Pastoral Community of Karamoja, we have Napiratu Accord. I don't know, Ogot, have you heard when you were in, Turkana about Napiratu Accord, where we have celebration every year?
Yeah, it used to be held somewhere in Lokiriama.
Exactly.
Yes, sir, every year.
What do you learn about the accord when you were there?
I used to see every year leaders from both countries, that is Uganda and Kenya, come together. Then there were a lot of dances and music played, and a lot of, speeches from both ends. Then at the end of it, I saw there was building of a monument to mark end of some wars and conflicts. So whenever people will see that monument, they'll remember there was an agreement that we made. So we don't need to fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. That's post-peace accord. So that one always reminds the community that we don't have to fight, that there's need for peace. Like the case of Napirato Accord, like what Ogutu said, it brings leaders from Kenya, from the entire Karamoja region, from Uganda, from South Sudan, from Ethiopia. Because you remember, Ethiopia, we have Meriri, in South Sudan, we have Didinga, and the communities of Karamoja in the side of Uganda already have mentioned, and from the side of Kenya. And during this event, also they bring leaders from Africa, leaders of global leaders of peace, the leaders from all over the world also they are invited to remind the community that there's need for peace and the need to keep peace alive. Specifics in this process of peace building is about like what is it? I don't know who said whether it's Rosalind, whether it's Ogutu. It's about prevention. It's about reduction. It's about resolution. It's about transformation of conflicts. It's about redress. It's about recovery from. It's about reconciliation among parties engaged in violent conflict. The method here is to elicit from people affected or engaged in violence. And you remember us in our previous conversation, we were talking about how peace building is happening today. You get that a problem happening affecting people of Karamoja, and you get this peace meeting happening in Eldoret, happening in Nairobi, happening in Canberra, happening Addis. Personally, I've attended these meetings. I don't know, Ogutu, have you ever thought about it?
What? About what, sir?
The meetings that are seeking to build peace to affected community, but are not happening within those communities, but happening in a far away. For example, you get this meeting happening in Eldoret, happening in Nairobi, happening in Canberra, Addis. Did you realize that when you were in those regions?
Yes, I realized like it used to take leaders from both ends or from both parties, and they go somewhere neutral. Like this one for, leave alone the Uganda-Kenya one. There's the Turkana West Pokot one. But they used to look for a venue, a neutral one in a different town. Like they used to do many of the meetings in Kitale, which is in Trans Nzoia, and others in Eldoret. Then, after they make those agreements, they will call it the Eldoret Accord or the Kitale Agreement. Yeah, so it was a form of a report or an agreement put down like a booklet, which was distributed among the different conflicting communities. So when people read these journals, for example, the Eldoret Accord, then these will make or reduce some bit of violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ogutu. Your point is right. I remember for us, like when we were dealing with Pokot and Turkana issues, we used to take the delegation to Moroto. You know, we have Mount Moroto Hotel. We used to take leaders from this angle. And you know, like when the animosity is very high, you cannot do this meeting in Pokot or you can't do it in Turkana side. So we used to move with arrange the logistical movement of leaders from this side. We take them to Moroto for 1 week, and people they engage there. And then at the end of this meeting, we come up with a communique to say what the parties should do in addressing the issue that is facing them. That's on a positive note, but sometimes we have been having these meetings, moving to like Nairobi, moving to like other places like Addis, moving to towns, but the meeting not happening to the context where the communities are affected by conflicts. And this is what most NGOs, international organizations are doing, which I think it's having a negative impact. So, but in case whereby we're looking for a neutral ground, that one is accepted, especially when the animosity is high between the protagonists, between the warring parties. So, Peace building now is about you engage people in dialogues, about interactions. You bring men, women together from the warring parties. You just bring them together, and you make people to have a conversation. Here, people they can ask you, man, look at yourself. Your blood is black, is red like mine. There's nobody who has white blood. So you ask, you find yourself that you are one people. You are people who are created by God. You all of you take the image of God. So why should we fight each other? So then you realize there is need for peace. So such engagement, that's why they are very, very important. So here people they think and act strategically for the long term. So when we are talking about the arts, we're talking about culture, then we're talking about peace building. When we are talking about culture, in this context where we are building peace, there is culture. These people they have a way of life. So if you're doing peace work, you should bear in mind that you are with these communities and they have their own way of life. They have a way to to compose songs to pass a message of peace. They can compose songs to pass the message of conflict and animosity. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to tap the culture to promote your work of peace building? And when you're doing these composing songs of peace, in one way or the other, you are building the arts. When you are composing poems to pass the message of peace, you are also, again, in another way around, building the arts. So, like when we were in the communities of Karamoja, I realized these people have the potential to create very wonderful songs. These communities have the potential to create very powerful poems, in fact, for children. They can recite poems telling the children from the other community, the young women who are married, to stop getting married and go back to school, because the songs were passing a message that education will offer a bright future. That message, it passes to the heart, the mind, and the soul of people. And now the elders, those who were not allowing their children to go to school, came on. They realized education can have that power of transforming the community. Then those barriers that they were putting to their children not to go to school, engaging very brilliant boys and girls in raids, so that they realize it's important to take them back to school. And if the community, if the people get education, then they will realize now that culture is outdated, and now they start embracing the culture of peace. So that one is very, very important. So, like regarding the cultural dimension, so as I've already alluded, this recording and expressing experiences. So this is a platform where people they give their expression, their experience of war, how it has brought down, devastated their well-being. Then they started then doing the songs expressing the need for peace, how peace can help the community to bring prosperity. In this message, they pass the message indicating the needs of the community. Like what Samuel was saying, in this platform, you have to make sure so you bring together leaders from across board. They will listen what are the needs of the community and what will be done to address them. In this forum, this where people are reflecting about their values and hopes. When you realize you have hope, then you keep, it's like a burning candle. It keeps burning. The community realizes that cattle rustling, these outdated cultures, is not going to be allowed to destroy them. They rather start embracing something that is going to help them have a bright future, regardless where they are. So that one is very, very important. Here, civil society, small neighborhood groups, and individual mother, their experiences, values, and needs, as I've said, are validated. Artistic expression and participation is in its own form of implementation, possibly beyond implementation because of the meeting of human emotion, hopes, and belief, dealing with trauma, healing, and the possibility of reconciliation through new meeting ground of former enemies. The point here, the issue about trauma and the healing, when people start having the conversation, seeing and saying what harm the war caused them, the people then they slowly started healing the wounds that were caused by violent conflict, by raids, violent raids, counter raids. So that healing process, that building of relationship is very, very important. Here you will realize that culture creates space and opportunity for former enemies, and they're coming to meet in positive and creative context and lower barriers to trust and breakdown of stereotypes. It provides legitimacy for mourning losses of war. It provides legitimacy for empathizing with the suffering, cause, and experience of self and others, acknowledging past wrongs and harms more publicly and seeking forgiveness, processing and working through hate and bitterness and letting them go, letting go, let the past, let it go, and now you have a space to start now building the values, the relationship, the trust that had lost because of the violent conflict. And during post-war phase, it empowered and empowered direct action and resistance. This provides a way for communities which feel continually victimized to express their situation in ways other than resort to violence, engage in such action in ways that acknowledges their human dignity and right to assert their concerns. Some examples of these general possibilities, as already we have said, in the visible theater, generation of new symbols, reinterpretation, in the generation of poetry or storytelling and writing, hip hop, youths can do hip hop, promoting peace, and like what Samuel said, if these youngsters do some hip hop, some music, they're going to get money out of this. That's why we talk about sports for peace and development. Mixes, music, dancing, crafty art, choirs or music groups, especially those integrating former enemies. So, when they do, it's also, we are also tapping the talent. The communities, they can do choirs, they can do those records, and they sell, and they create wealth out of it. Installation of art, moving display in significant areas, this is another way of doing it. Also, it helps in focusing on therapy and ongoing education. There are significant literatures and training for each of these for education, teacher training, and curriculum development, especially in music and theater. This aims to create a moral imagination among citizens and build new futures, especially the communities, like a country which has moved out of conflict. You have to go back to the curriculum and try to integrate these aspects that are going to build lasting peace. The issue about therapy, this one already I rooted it higher, focus on healing of individual and memory processing, creating possibility of engaging between victims and perpetrators, permit going forward in reconstruction of self, situations, and communities. And here we can also look at what is the role of the government. The big role in the war memorials, statues, orders, and commemoration and museums. Like what Ogutu said, we have we have the under Napilato Accord, we have monuments. Whenever people look at this, always they say, come on, our people were killed by violent conflicts. It caused a lot of harm. Elders sat down, the government sat down, and we have peace, and we should keep this peace by all means. So globally, there are about 100 peace museums worldwide. The International Network for Peace. You know, it reminds the communities of nations, the need to build peace, to sustain peace globally. So you can go through this link and you can see more. So I think this is what I can add on top of what your presentation that you've made. I don't know now. Let me open this forum briefly. Can I get your insights briefly? 1 minute from each. Let me hear from Samuel. Your insight additions over what we have said. 1 minute. Only 1 minute, and I want you to observe that.
Thank you very much, Dr. I was very keen listening to the additions. There are quite a number, and the key issue that you have mentioned, which is very important, is development and trust in peace building is very key, because if the development is taken across and they hear their views, because this is the chance that members of public can talk freely and without fear or favor. You know, when they are talking in the open, everybody is trying to be as much fair as possible, even if there are accusations against the other party. That is the time now the professionals like us should take note of that and see whether to engage mediation, arbitration, or to choose people, esteemed people from each party, so that they come around the table and discuss. Because sometimes people may have issues, but they are lacking a platform to bring them across. So with these leaders now, they will come to know, so this thing is happening. Why haven't we solved it? How can we solve it? They can sort out by saying, whether I select the prominent people from each group represented here and a certain chairmanship. And then from there, if there are issues of development, like you have mentioned, they can also be part of solving such problems, because most of them, as going by the Abraham Maslows, is about sharing of resources. It's about fairness in distribution of resources, natural resources, or resources from the national government, or which they are entitled. Therefore, it is a very good platform for that. I remember, I think earlier this year or in December in Isioro, one member of the public said that they don't want to see any politician in their meetings. And in fact, there were about 250. They were talking about the boundary between Meru and Isioro. And they chased away all politicians. They sent politicians come for their votes. Politicians come to incite this party against the other party. Members of public decided they want to talk their issues without any politician. And in fact, they discussed without the politicians. Politicians were kept away. So this is an area that if a certain politician is inciting the others, it is a good platform also. Members of public can talk and they say, next general election, we are going to nominate so and so. We better take anybody else, but not these people who are not even looking into our issues, but enriching themselves. So it is a good platform, which, when used well, can be an intelligent collection center, so that then the government, the central government, the county government, The area MP and other readers can be guided by the information and sort the problem. Thank you, Marim.
Thank you very much. Samuel Ogutu.
What I can say is that all this cannot be possible without support from government, support from state. Even if civil societies, non-governmental organizations, individuals try, without the support of the government, then all can be in vain. So I think government also has to put a lot of emphasis, a lot of support, a lot of encouragement into these supporting things on violence reduction. So governments, states are also key in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ogutu. Martin.
Thank you, Daktari. What I would say is that the importance of also having the meetings in a neutral place. We can see the example in Kenya of Kapedo, where an officer was waylaid on an ambush. So you see, maybe during the discussions, one may touch a raw nerve that the other party is the cause of the conflict. Then you see now later they may be waylaid and ambushed. So in a neutral ground, at least everybody is safe and away from the communities which are having the conflict. And also this part of the composing songs to pass messages. You can see even this part of Rwanda, whereby the Gashasha, you find that they used such methods, and you find that the Rwanda right now is doing well, and through those songs there is a healing which comes, whereby they are able to forget about their past. And also this issue of the leaders when they come and they educate them that education can bring a bright future, give them jobs, then it will make them to leave the culture. For example, like cattle rustling, which may show them that it's outdated. And also the memorials and parks and the list of names of people who have perished during these wars. It makes the society realize that these are not of. Thank you, Daktari.
Thank you very much, Koske, for your insights. Finally, let me hear from Roslyn.
Okay, thank you, Dr. I think much has been said, but what I can include is the inclusion of sports or physical education in the learning institutions to encourage peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to appreciate all of you. I want to thank you very much for your contribution. The class has been very interactive, and your insight, your input, I really appreciate you very much. When you are going to do your final draft, try to also integrate the views of your colleagues and let us have very rich presentation and draft that you are going to share. So this is assignment for the next class that you are going to do the presentation. You are going to interrogate basic conflict resolution skills and their application in dispute resolution. That's where we are going to start next week.
Pardon?
Basic conflict resolution skills and their applications in dispute resolution. Basic conflict resolution skills and their applications in dispute resolution.
Marim
Are you
confirm
there?
and their application.
And their applications in dispute resolution. Best
Best
conflict resolution skills and their applications in dispute resolution.
Bestia, BEST.
B-boy, best conflict resolution skills and their applications in dispute resolution. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Daktari, before you sum up,
Thank you, Daktari.
is this the next unit discussion or take home?
This will be a discussion.
Or not a term paper?
You will present the next in the next class.
Let me just read it out, then we see if it's correct. Right?
Okay.
You said basic conflict resolution skills and their applications in dispute resolution. I saw Rosalind writing best. There's no best, Ama?
Yeah. Best. You're right, Ogutu.
Yes. This is English, Rose. This is English.
English ya mwalimu bana ni ya majuu.
I also wrote best.
Even you wrote best. I had best.
You know, I come from English land, so I get these things.
I'm here and I want to run the skills.
I even told Dr. Mose.
Thank you, sir.
Basic.
He speaks like a white person.
So let's agree to agree. Basic or best?
Basic.
It's best. It's like what Oguta said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Taking kuku for lunch.
Thank you very much. See you again.
See you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Daktari. All the best.
You guys, I'm taking kuku for lunch, bana. See you guys mkaribuni.
Where do we have another one today?
Where uko kwa hiyo?
Tuko na kose hiyo.
Basi wacha sasa nikajiachilie. Wacha nikajiachilie.
Tugawe, tuma samaki.
Wacha nikajiachilie sasa.
Haya, bye.
Wewe mmesemaje? Hiyo nyingine ngapi 10?
Angalia inbox. Angalia inbox bado ina record. Angalia inbox.
No, nimepata. Hiyo ni sawa, nimeona.